start at the beginning. Obviously, you've done some crazy big things in ag, but didn't start that way, I'm assuming.
No. Still doesn't feel that way either.
Wow, I mean, come on, man. You invented bin sense. Like,
Yeah, it's weird. It's a bit of, I don't, doesn't, it feels when you go to a show and you see it everywhere and you hear people talking about it, good and bad. There's some bad, obviously, but it feels, good, but it's still, I don't know, feels a little surreal at times. But my story, so grew up in Holdfast, Saskatchewan, so in between Regina and Saskatoon.
small little,
Like 100 people.
Yeah.
Maybe 150, but not much. Our K-12 school, like my grade we started out, I think, at 23 or 24, and by the time I was grade 12, we were at 13.
graduating class of 13.
Yeah.
Like every small town Saskatchewan kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, that's not drawing from Holdfast. That's drawing from
Outside.
big area outside of Holdfast. Other towns, Chamberlain, Dilk, Penzance. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're right in the middle of like, there's some athletes that come out of there, but you're right in the center of like agriculture, farming, and ranching, surrounded.
Yeah. Yeah. So grew up, parents farmed about 4,000, when I was young, it was probably about 2,000 acres, and then took on some more land, rented some, and it got up to about 4,000 when I was in high school or just out of high school. But I never really had like a super drive towards the farm as a kid. I hated being in a tractor all day long, and I always said to my old man, I'm like, if I'm going to be in a vehicle driving around somewhere for 8 or 12 hours, like I want to go somewhere. Like I don't want to end up where I started. That seems like madness to me.
Right.
But I didn't care about the business side either, right? So I didn't appreciate, but that's the days of cultivating still. So,
Right. And I mean, agriculture was hard work then. It's still hard work now.
very much.
I love that. If I'm going to be in a vehicle, I want to get somewhere. I used to think the same thing about track. My dad ran track. He's like, oh, you should run track. I'm like, I don't want to run in circles. Like, what's the point of
Turn
running?
left, yeah.
Yeah, like, that ain't fun. For those of you who don't know, Cal Folk, F-O-L-K.
Yep.
I was thinking this morning, is it folk or folk? But it's the same thing.
Same thing.
Inventor, entrepreneur, joining us for AgWarriors in Agritechnica, as you can see again. Totally skipped the introduction, so.
All good. The ag industry, while you do the circuit through the U.S. too, I mean, it seems like just a tight community all the way through. Even you come here, you see people that you recognize and know. It's a small world when it comes to agriculture, for sure.
So you grew up, did you play sports growing up, I'm assuming?
Yep. Yeah, played hockey. I mean, in a small town, if you don't play sports, you don't have a team. Like, everybody has to play to get a team together. And so we had a good hockey team growing up. Played the school sports, the volleyballs, the badmintons. Our hockey team was pretty exceptional in Kiwi, 13U.
Okay.
We won provincials that year, but it was just D provincials, mind you. But
I mean,
still was good. I think we went 82-0 that year.
Holy crap.
Yeah,
In
the
Kiwi
banner in
hockey,
the rink says 82-0.
82-0.
I think that's what it says, or 81 or something. Anyway.
That's something that does not...
Yeah, it wasn't on my account.
Right.
I rode the coattails, but yes.
Who was your best player?
Oh, we had some good. So our top line, I think, was like Matt Folk was on our top line, Andy Metz, Alec Curry. On defense, I don't even remember on the defensive side of things, but some really solid players. Oddly enough, these guys all left the year after when played hockey elsewhere to go for the opportunity, and nobody really cracked the WHL or anything like that, and nobody made it beyond that.
Pee-wee.
Yeah. I don't know about Pete. I can't say. They probably, they were way better than I was, but yeah, nobody went on to that next level, but we had a great team. So.
Well, and that's funny. I mean, Pee-wee hockey, you're 12, 13 years old, and here you are. We'll say you're 35, and it's still a core memory, and I'm sure that's something nobody can ever take away.
Nobody can take it away, but also the biggest part I remember is that we all thought we were 35 when we were 13, right?
Right.
We were convinced that we knew everything that year. So
I mean, yeah. And there's probably times when now we're convinced we now know everything.
Very much.
You come here and you're like, actually,
it's pretty humbling.
Shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, went to school, knew you weren't going to be on the farm.
Yeah, so actually twofold. My dad was the resident electrician back there because he went back to farm with my grandparents in the 80s, which was
Tough.
tough time
Yep.
to go back and farm. But he loved farming, and he knew that's what he wanted to do. And he got his electrical journeyperson certificate he probably got in like 1980. And then his plan was to go back and farm. So he went back farm with my grandparents, but as subsidizing, he was the resident electrician for a 60-mile radius around home.
No way.
And so he did both. And so growing up, I was doing electrical work and on the farm. And everybody would be like, Kyle, what are you going to do when you graduate? And my answer was, I don't know, but I'm not going to farm and I'm not going to be an electrician. I told everybody that. And then, so in grade 10, I didn't even have my license yet. I was 15. Dad's like, well, if you don't want to work on the farm, that's fine, but you got to get a job. So then I got a job in Chamberlain at one of the gas stations there.
Yeah.
Sunny Boy Esso, actually. So if you ever went for Chester Fried?
I have so many times. Yeah, I got that route. I know exactly where, not exactly where you live, but I know where Holdfast is, Craig, Chamberlain, Dilkey, Pence, Bethune, that whole strip there.
Yeah. The corridor, yeah. So I worked there from I had to catch the bus after school to get to work or hitch rides from the older kids because they were going back home to Chamberlain. So I did that for the rest of high school and helped out with, farm or electrical whenever.
You have to go get a real job, but we still need you to help farm.
Yeah.
Still maybe need you to pull some wires.
Yeah. It's funny you said you were out till whatever time last night. You were well behaved, but some of them I hope were not. But I remember as a kid, working at the ESO, I had to work Sunday mornings at 8, start at 8. I never missed a shift. I think back to that, we'd party all night long on Saturday and it wasn't even you couldn't think about missing a shift. That wasn't an option.
Well, there was probably nobody else to work it either.
No, I don't. Yeah. It was just not a thing. I think back to that quite often
and I think that's something. And I told my guys last night, Levi was leaving yesterday. We wanted to go out, have a good time, invited a ton of people. And I said, I don't give a shit what you guys do tonight. And the bell rings in the morning, you show up.
Yeah.
And they're all here. They're taking selfies back there. So they're good, but that is, I think it's different now because I don't think people have the same, I don't know if it's dedication or sense of responsibility, but
yeah, I don't know either. But it is, there's something that's different. And I'm not sure, I can't put my finger on it, but yeah, I just remember thinking just plain and simple, you never thought that you couldn't go to work tomorrow. That just wasn't an option.
Right. And I bet, I don't know what your old man was like. Mine, there was no, and I worked growing up with my dad, it didn't matter what I did the night before. And he was construction, funny enough, a framer.
Yeah.
So he'd come wake me up in the morning and be like, we're going to work.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to work. Yeah. There was no missing.
No.
Nothing. Yeah.
No. Yeah.
So what happened after ESO?
So graduated high school. I was the kid that was the minute I can get out of, not because I had a bad home situation, I had a great home situation. Parents, fantastic, still are. But I just was antsy to get going. And so I was I'm out of here. I'm going to university. I'm going to go. And I enrolled in film and video production in university at the U of R.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to be a farmer. I'm not going
to be an electrician, so I'm going to be a videographer.
Yeah, and I had a couple cousins that did the course about probably 5 years prior, and they were, living what I was looking at a pretty glamorous lifestyle. They were in Hollywood and working for big film companies and,
probably
on the red carpets. And,
now.
Oh, yeah, making nothing, but it was it was appealing to me for whatever
18
reason.
Years old.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so I did that for 2 semesters, and then they kindly asked me not to come back.
Yeah.
I say I did it. I didn't really go to class.
Right. So
I was too interested in other things. I have a late birthday. Not that I'm not making an excuse, but 17 when I left home, I used my university card as my pretend ID to buy smokes at the time so that they wouldn't look at my other ID. So yeah, it was.
So you didn't go to class much?
No, I didn't go to class much.
And they asked you to not. You might want to look at. They asked you not to come back to college, to the university, or asked you not to come back to the video and film.
No, it was a meeting with the head of the I think it was the film and video department, and she said to me, with the marks that you have, you're going to have to retake just about every class or don't come back. And I said, okay, I won't come back.
Okay.
And then so I left. Obviously my parents were not super
they weren't happy about that.
So then Dad's like, well, you can use 6 months worth of your time working for me as an electrician towards your apprenticeship program if you enroll in this. And he's like, do this and then get that done and then decide what you want to do after that. I was like, okay, fair. So I enrolled in that. So really I only lost 6 months, which is huge for me. I thought that was a good deal because, again, didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I was in a hurry to do something.
Somewhere else.
Yes.
Yeah.
So enrolled in that. Moose Jaw, you'd have to go for 2 months in person in Moose Jaw, SIAS. It was SIAS back then, SAS Poly now. And then work for 10 months. So I got a job in Regina with Eagle Electric, actually. It was
Here you are trying not to be an electrician.
100%.
And you had to work 10 months as an
100%.
electrician.
So I go and work with Eagle Electric, do the school. I work through, switch companies partway through. I would go back and work with Dad in some of the summers when he was busy and he was doing the farming thing. And anyway, worked my way through, got my electrical journey person after 4 years. And
so 4 years of being an electrician.
4 years of being an electrician. And then on year 3 of that, my wife and I had a kid.
Wow. So you were young.
We were young. Yeah. So I'm 41 today.
Today's your birthday?
No, not today.
Oh, I was like 41 today.
I'll be 42. I was doing the math. I'll be 42 in about a month from now. So
okay, late birthday.
Yeah. So we had our first kid when we were like 21, 22. So
young,
very young. So then you get golden handcuffs.
Yep.
Right. So now I'm working as an electrician, not overly loving what I'm doing. There was actually a time there, Jeremy, was really, really interesting. I had to go back to school. My wife was on maternity leave, so I had to do the 2 months in school. My wife was on maternity leave, and we were like, I don't want to say like broke, but we were broke. We had like, when we knew we were having a kid, we were like, we want to live in a house. We don't, and whatever. Apartments are great, but we just made this choice that we wanted to live in a house.
In Regina?
So we mortgaged a house, got a house. Moved in and we had the mortgage payments. I remember phoning my dad and saying, okay, I'm going back to school. They would allow you to go on EI when you're in for those 8 weeks. But I remember phoning him and saying, like, if we can't make payments, like, can you cover us? And he said, yep, for sure. No problem. So I was like, okay. So that was November, started November to end of December was the 2 month period. I was in school and she was on maternity leave. And my grandparents gave me, I think, $200 for Christmas, and that covered our bills. So we were like, we're good. We don't need anything from you. We're fine. We made it through. It's just, when you think back, it's kind of an interesting, reflection.
It's huge to be able to look back. And I mean, I think that there's so many people that are successful that started with nothing and they had to scratch and claw and get there. And I think it's really important to look back. And I mean, I can see it just in your face as you're telling that story. Like that had to be crazy stress.
There was a ton of stress. And I don't want to say there was a ton of hardship that we faced. We didn't. Like, we had parents that would back us if we needed to. And so it was all good, but it's just, we wanted to do it ourselves.
Yeah, hell yeah. 100%.
And they had already, like, you think about, my dad helped me get into the electrical, side of things. And so he had already helped out with so much and continued to do so. My parents did all the way through, but so got through.
Now you're screwed. You're being an electrician.
Yeah. So now golden handcuffs, right? But I'm like, okay, well, I got a family to support. So that's first and foremost. And so then in 2006, so our son was born end of 2005. In 2006, I got the official notice that I got my journey person pass the test. Great. Then I talked to Dad because farming was in a way different place in 2006 than it was in the 80s and 90s. And so he's like, yeah, I'm happy to step back from the electrical business. So I took over electrical business from him, hired a couple guys, and just had my own electrical contracting company.
So now you're 100%.
I'm in deep. Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cool. And he was happy to...
He was happy to step back from that. Yeah. He really, he liked being an electrician, but he loved being a farmer.
Right. And you had no interest still in the farm.
Still had no interest in the farm, no. And so I take over that, grow it, bring it. Like, I lived in Regina, so I still served the rural, like, Holdfast kind of area for the most part. And I did that for a number of years.
Did you want to be an entrepreneur? Like, was that part of this? Because that's a pretty big step to say, you know what, Dad, I want to take over the business, which I'm sure you have, some existing relationships and all that. But now you're a freaking entrepreneur, which is the hardest probably the hardest thing out there.
Yeah, I never called it entrepreneur at the time, honestly. Like, when I was in school, you remember the, like, career book that you flip through? Like, oh, here's the salary to be a dentist, and here's the salary for this, and
be a lawyer.
Yeah. I don't know why, and I don't know if it was, like, instilled from something else in me, but the word entrepreneur at that point in time came with a negative connotation, and I don't know why, but it was like an entrepreneur was almost a person that just tried to do a bunch of things that never worked.
Interesting.
And I don't know where I got that from.
Yeah.
And so in my head, that wasn't what I wanted to be.
But I think an entrepreneur a lot of times is somebody that's trying to do a bunch of things that might not work.
And that's a great thing.
Yeah.
To be able to do that and try and fail and learn is an amazing thing. But for whatever reason in my head at that point in my life, that was a negative, and I don't know why. So did I want to do my own thing? Yes, I did. But I didn't call it an entrepreneur.
What was the first thing you changed in your dad's business? Because I am sure that having grown up in it and then having the ability to go to different electric companies, you came back and were like, this is something, I'm going to do this different.
So the biggest thing I did differently was hire people, because he always had like one hired guy that kind of split time between the farm and the electrical business and himself. And then he had me doing the electrical, but he never went beyond that. So, the first thing that I did different was I got enough work to take on like 2 or 3 guys to keep them busy and then do more managing, because
you don't want to be an electrician.
I didn't want, and to be honest, the actual work of the electrical work, I was fantastic at it. I just didn't like it.
Right.
And so it was a grind for me to do it. And so I was trying to move more towards, but to be honest, I didn't love the business, period. Like, that electrical business for me was just, I don't know why. There was something about it that it was just a means to an end for me. And so
pay the bills.
And to be honest, I didn't do a phenomenal job of it. I did a good enough job of it.
Yeah.
I would like put off sending invoices out for like, 2-3 months. Like, I should have been invoicing right away. And things that I did in my next step of my career that were like, I sewed up and fixed, but just was not passionate about it. And so then in 2009, so now I got 2 kids. 2009, we go back to the farm one weekend, and Dad's like, hey, I got a truck coming to haul some canola away for me. Let's go get the auger set up. And I was like, yeah, sounds good. So we go out, we go to throw the auger in the bin. Anyway, long story short, the canola had spoiled. It was rock solid in there.
Yep.
And so you can see where this is going to the grain monitoring side of things. I had no clue at that point in time that grain could spoil in a bin, because when I was helping at the farm, I just didn't care.
Right. You weren't paying attention. You were just doing whatever your dad said.
I just was doing what he said and worried about, what were my buddies and I going to do later on tonight. That was it. So the business side for me never really...
So he lost a whole bin.
It was only a 3,000 bushel bin, so a little flat bottom bin, but he lost a whole bin. And then, he was flipping a lid, right? Like, he's like...
What was canola worth back then?
Probably $8 bushel. Yeah.
So that's $240,000.
I think it's like $24,000. Yeah. So $24,000 straight off the bottom.
In 2009 as straight profit.
Straight profit.
Yeah.
So then it's, I still have to fill this contract. Do I have canola that I can fill this with, or do I got to call a neighbor? Anyway, there's like this, and my head was just spinning. I'm like, what is happening here? Like, you went through the whole season of risk. And like, I'm used to hearing that part, right?
Yep.
Of like, frick, it's not raining, or it is, whatever.
Or it's raining too much.
Yeah. All the things. Anyway, or whatever disease is here. It never ends. The risks are out of your control. And then you put it in the bin, and then all of a sudden it spoils. And I was just blown away. I was like, Dad, like, why don't you watch this? Like, so maybe rose-colored glasses, but I categorized my dad as a really good operator, and there were a number of them around Holdfast and area and Dilk area, but I categorized him at as one of the top. And knowing what I know now, looking back, I still would do that. But he didn't check his bin, and I'm like what gives here? And he said one thing to me there. He was like, I don't think about checking my bin until I'm driving away from the yard. And then he's like, oh, shit, I should check that bin, but I'll check it when I'm back from this hockey game or wherever he's going, right? And so...
And then he never checks it.
And then he never checks it. And then I said, well, there's got to be some stuff out there in the market that you could put in to check it for you. This is 2009. So IoT, Internet of Things, was not a thing at this point
Yep.
in time. And so he's like, well, there's this one company that you can like put these cables in the bin, but you got to walk up, you got to plug this handheld device in. And he's like, that does me really no good when I'm driving away. And I'm like, well, that seems like a bit of a, cop out on the situation here. Like, it does help. Like, but you
It's a
don't.
lot quicker.
But he's like, but I could also just open lids, check top smell, shove a rebar in, do these kinds of things. I'm like, okay, fair. That's not as good, but there are some things, but you don't. So then I started looking into these other companies anyway. So this was kind of the start. But honestly, Jeremy, I had no clue about tech business, right? Like nothing. I'm an electrician. I run a service business.
Right.
But it excited me. For something about it really, really, really excited me. I think...
And this was 2009.
This is 2009.
So, there was a lot less technology. So much less technology in 2009. Like, where did you start looking, for a solution?
So I did nothing with it for 2 years.
Really?
Nothing. Zero.
Thought about it?
Thought about it. Oh, I thought about it every day.
Yeah.
There's something that excites me about a business that has no ceiling. Not that an electrical business particularly has a ceiling.
Oh, it does though.
But it kind of does.
You're limited by range. You're limited by people. You're limited by all of that.
Yeah, and you can do, like, I look at some electrical businesses that are phenomenally large and they do amazing things, but it just wasn't, there was something about it that wasn't for me. But something about this really, really seeded, like, excitement in me, and I can't.
What'd your wife say? Because
Super supportive.
I'm
She's
sure
super
you were
supportive.
talking to her about it.
She was, so I'm talking, she's like, that sounds like a really good idea. And I was like, I looked into some other things that are out there. Nobody's really doing it in the way that I think it needs to be done. And this is why it's not like mainstream, why every farm doesn't have grain monitoring.
Why there's not 17 different companies trying to do it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so my wife is super supportive all the way through. She's, and I would have like these confidence questions of myself. Like, I don't know, can I do this? I'm not an engineer. And she was always very much like, you can do it. You can definitely do it.
Cool.
And so I did nothing with it for 2 years because I'm like, I just don't even know. And then you get these like little fears of like, who's going to steal this idea if I start talking to people about it?
Right.
And in about 2010, the Social Network movie came out. Mm-hmm. So if you remember the Facebook movie, and by no means am I comparing myself to Facebook, but there was that really fueled that fear of mine of when the Winklevoss twins had the idea and Zuckerberg arguably, it's up for debate, right?
Yeah,
but
I don't
the
think
movie
I don't
portrayed
think
it.
it's up for debate. I think that history shows that Zuckerberg was maybe a better businessman.
Sure, yeah.
And he took their idea and made it something.
Or even you could argue he was able, because he had the coding and the software ability, he was able to make it real. Right. Whereas, maybe the Winklevoss brothers,
they made it up.
Have that
they
ability.
Made it up, but they couldn't make it real.
And so I kind of felt that same way. I'm like, I don't have the ability to do this myself. I'm not an engineer. I'm not, I don't hobby by coding, those kinds of things. So
who had you told by that point? Like, I'm sure you were trying to keep it quiet, but I'm sure you also were running it off some different guys just to get what the idea was.
I had more bounced it off of like my family, obviously, and a couple friends, and everybody that I talked to was like, yeah, like that makes a ton of sense. And so my thought was, we need this grain monitoring system that is battery powered, because I'm an electrician and I know nobody is paying me to trench power to every bloody bin in their yard.
Right.
So this thing has to be battery and solar powered, and it has to communicate from the top of the bins back to the cell phone. And so way different time. Talk about like IoT not
in
being
2010 or 11 with flip phones still probably, or Blackberries.
Well, once we got into it, Blackberries was a big question mark. And so once I got going, it was about 2011. Once I got in, one of the biggest questions was, do we develop an app for BlackBerry or not?
Right.
And we decided not to.
Which, fortunate in hindsight.
It wouldn't have been the end of us, but it was just funny that was a thing that you were thinking about at that time. Anyway.
So who did you go find to help you?
So I sat there with nothing, and I literally came home from work one night. I remember exactly where I was sitting, and I'm having supper at the table in our house. TV's on, we're a TV on supper crew, and the news was on.
Yeah.
And the news pops up and says, there's this business planning competition open in Saskatchewan, opening right away, and all you need to have to submit is an idea. And I went, I wonder if that's a good way to get mine publicly out there, that I had this idea. Not that somebody couldn't steal it.
Right.
But hopefully I would get aligned with some supports to help me move this along, if it even could become a real thing.
But that's funny that you're worried about somebody stealing it. You haven't patented, haven't done anything at that point, and you're going to put it out publicly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I submit to this business planning competition, and there were like 3 phases of acceptance. First was like a 1-pager. Submit your 1-pager, and then if they're interested, they'll do an in-person interview. And then if you pass that, then you got to do, I think it was like another like multi-person. Anyway, I went through the process. We got accepted into the program. Fantastic program. It was our NDP, Saskatchewan NDP government had funded this other entity at the time called Springboard West Innovations. And Springboard was meant to support technology startups and give them the things and supports that they needed and weren't aware of. So perfect fit for me.
Yeah.
So this business planning competition put me through like a boot camp on tech business. And then they lined me up with Springboard West, who I then got a mentor who had been through tech startups and was a farmer. And so now I'm starting to, get like
Make some
market
traction.
research, business plan, all these things, some like, technology research and starting to understand if this is possible.
Is that like the Cultivate program now?
So there's a lot of similarities to it. Yeah. The Cultivate program is really good because there's no cost to the company.
Yep.
One of the really cool parts about Springboard West was that you went on a bar tab and you didn't pay that bar tab back until you became successful. Even when you launched, if you would, from a cash flow perspective, be damaging to pay that money back, they would wait
Really?
until your cash flow was in a position to pay them back.
Wow.
Now, my timing ended up being incredible because the NDP government got beat out by the SAS party, and unfortunately, because the program was phenomenal, unfortunately for the program and the province and everything, they got shut down. But it got shut down before I paid $1 back,
Perfect.
and I was not on the books
Why?
because there was the way that they did it up. I was not on the balance sheet owing any.
So that's really
So I got all that support for nothing,
all that
which
mentoring.
is insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
So that is one of the things that I think people don't always understand. Like, you can work your tail off, but you got to catch some breaks along the way.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a huge break. I
Yep.
didn't know that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So in hindsight, at the end of the day, I think my tab would have been like $130,000. I could have paid that back no problem as the company went along. But at the time, it was huge.
That's
Huge.
massive.
So going through that process, getting that mentorship,
So
starting to do all
how
that.
long was that process? Like, from the time it was 2011 that you saw that, you were sitting
I
on.
incorporated the company in 2011. Started the thoughts in 2009. So that was 2 full
2
years.
years of thinking about it.
Yeah.
11, I'm going to do this. I'm going to apply for the program, etc.
Yeah.
How long at that point before?
Well, by 11, we were like incorporated and running. I think the program, that business planning program, started in late 2010.
Okay.
So I didn't incorporate a company or anything even when I started that. Then I did kind of right after the tail end of that program. And then I raised capital from friends and family. I raised $400,000 from friends and family and I hired an engineer, started building the product. He started building the product. I couldn't do it. I sourced.
So what was your thought for the product? Your original thought for the product, what was that?
So as crazy as it is that you talk about like companies pivot and they change and they go where they need to go. My original thought for BinSense was the BinSense that came out. Nothing really changed. That like battery powered, solar
backup.
and then like IoT element. I didn't know how that would work, but it ended up being
Exactly what your thought was.
exactly what my thought was.
Interesting, because that's rare too.
So the side that wasn't exactly what I thought, I had these unrealistic expectations in the marketing side of I built the website so that farmers could just go in and drag like their bins onto the map and put them in there if you've seen it, whatever.
Yep.
Anyway, that in my head, they were just going to come in droves to my website and build their yards and we would just be selling over the internet. And that did not happen.
Yeah.
Turned out you very much need sales and marketing. And so that was where I started getting distribution and partnerships under that in place. And then they started driving sales. And
So were there moments early as the customers weren't coming that you were like, shit,
oh yeah,
I've developed something now that I think is really cool, but nobody else does?
I think I gave up twice
Really?
before we hit any kind of traction.
When was that?
when we were building the circuit board, so we had our RF, like wireless communication between other bins to that one main bin in the yard.
The mother bin.
The mother bin. And so that communication, wireless communication, was 2.4 gigahertz communication, but it was difficult to make that work. Like, we're putting these on metal galvanized roofs, and the wireless, pinging off of things. Honestly, that was wildly difficult. And my engineer was phenomenal. And he figured, like, he had to rewrite like libraries from manufacturers to get things to work properly. Not only that, Jeremy, but we had tested down to minus 40 degrees.
Right.
And at minus 40,
Saskatchewan.
things happen that don't happen at plus 20. And so we had all kinds of challenges with this RF going on. And there was one point there that I was like, I remember saying to my mentor, I'm like, I'm done. Like, I can't figure this out. He gave me tough love at that. I remember him saying...
Who was your mentor?
His name was Joe Toth. And so he still farms back in Saskatchewan and does some other things. But I just remember him I got tough love that day. He was like, you're not giving up. You don't get to give up. Give up's not an option. And I was like, okay, fair enough. That was all I kind of needed to hear. And then I was like, okay. And he's like, we'll figure it out. And he was an engineer as well. So he helped get through that hurdle. And then we got the wireless working well. There was all kinds of little technical glitches. I remember I couldn't code, and my engineer would be, he'd build the circuit board, he'd write all the firmware for it, and then there would be something not working. And I remember sitting down with him at times for hours and saying, walk me through your code line by line, just so we could try to fix the issue.
But you're not a coder.
I'm not a coder. I had nothing to do with that.
Right.
Him explaining every line to me, and sometimes it would take an hour, sometimes it would take 4, sometimes it would take days.
Yeah.
Eventually, he'd be like, and this line calls this library, and there it is. That's
so
the
him
problem.
just walking you through it helped him identify.
100%. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I
That's
did
cool.
nothing.
Right.
Other than slow him down and walk him through it.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting way to do that troubleshooting, because a lot of people would have hired another engineer to go through.
Yeah. I didn't have the capital to do it, right? We were strapped. I mean, $400,000 to build a software and hardware business. And I'm running the electrical business. Yeah. Now, I would say, in complete transparency, I had not walked away from it, but I was letting that go by the wayside. I was not super engaged in that anymore. So this got going. By 2012, we sold, I think 30. We built enough for 30 systems, 30 yards. Went to Farm Progress Show in Regina. Farm Progress was what it was called at the time.
This was in 2012.
12, yeah. And I should say, we went to crop production in Saskatoon.
Yep.
And before that, so 2011 in November, we were at Agritechnica.
Yep.
And we were going to display our system at Agritechnica. And the night before Agritechnica started, our server, something happened. Everything went down.
Oh, man.
And I had these like crazy thoughts, though, Jeremy, that our booth was just going to be lined up with people.
Yeah.
Nobody knew who we are. Nobody gave a shit. So it didn't really, we got it going like within minutes to spare of the show to start, but nobody cared.
Nobody cared. Nobody
cared.
came. Yeah.
Nobody cared. Didn't feel that way.
Yeah.
So,
and so then you went to crop production.
crop production.
How was that?
First farm couple that walked up to our booth bought a system.
At crop production.
The first farm. They walk in first morning. I think the show starts late that morning, like 10 o'clock or something, right?
You start on Mondays at 10,
yeah. And the first couple walks in, and they're like, what do you got here? Explain it. They're like, yeah, we'll take a system. We got X amount of bins and blah, 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 blah. And I look at after they leave, I look at my dad. I'm like, holy shit.
So it was you and your dad doing that first show.
Yeah. Yeah.
So was your dad, I mean, obviously he was probably helping fund it, et cetera.
Yeah. He's an investor.
Yeah.
And yeah. So he was in, he'd come to the shows and he'd do, whatever I asked him.
Interesting. What was that? I could see that in your eyes too. Just that. What was the?
It was a lot of fun. He still comes to shows. Like when I ask him, he'll still come and help, and still come to the office and do things when I ask. So you started your own business. When your guts are just churning, like, did I do the right thing? Did I make the right decision? Is this what I'm supposed to do? He'll openly admit now, he had no idea if it was what we were doing was the right thing. But he's like, all I realized was you just needed somebody that was like stable,
Yeah.
that you could lean on. And so he was just the like, it's good. We're good. Don't worry. That was his take. But he's like, he's told me now. His guts were just friggin' turning
He was
like
like,
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
I mean, hopefully that goes away someday. I'm 13 years in, and it's still like,
no, it's still a thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Have ulcers forever.
Exactly. Yeah.
So your dad's clearly important. Joe's important. Who else supported you?
Well,
I mean, other than your investors, because that's
Yeah.
huge, and that's
Yeah.
friends and family. But
Wife's the most important, right? Without the support of a wife with 2 small kids at home, there's no chance in hell that I'm be able to do this because,
Yep.
I mean, I work till 3 a.m. some days, right?
Mm.
Like, and she's at home with 2 little kids, like that. That support is a must.
Yeah.
My mom, of course, supporting too because, I'm taking my dad away in all these situations, and my mom is, she's always promoting me, and she's my biggest cheerleader all the time, and so so she's always there for me too. And really, that wasn't it. I had others, but that was the core.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how many did you sell at crop production?
One.
The first person came in. Wow. So that would have been like a huge high. We're going to sell out. We're going to sell all 30. And then you don't sell another one.
We never sold another one.
What was that like?
Bizarre. That's like the most intense roller coaster you can be on.
I 100%
Yeah.
can only imagine what an incredible high and then what a hell of a stomach punch.
Yeah, for sure. So we left there, went in. Yeah, we're going to be sold out in like by noon.
Yeah, but by the end of the day one, we're nothing else to sell.
I will say we had amazing conversations, talked to a ton of like interested farmers. Just nobody was like, yeah, we'll take one and give you a deposit.
Bins were full.
Yeah. And so
Right.
but anyway, it was still not terrible. It was good.
Yep.
Still felt good. Then we go back and I'm like, okay, what do we do now? Let's go to Farm Progress show. Let's kind of set up a better display and everything and get ready for Farm Progress and try to sell the rest of these at Farm Progress.
And Farm Progress used to be
June.
shit. No, it used to be June, and it used to be the shit.
It was amazing, yeah.
When I went to Farm Progress for the first time, I was like, this is the way to go.
It was good. So we go into Farm Progress, and there's a competitor, and I won't say their name, but there was somebody else that had come out with something similar to what we were doing, and they had a booth that was just like amazing, like out of this world. They spent a ton of cash in this booth, and so I was pretty worried. I was like, I think we're dead in the water here. Like they're gonna blow us
away. And you
away.
had 29 systems to sell.
With 29 left to sell. And so for whatever reason, our tiny little, 10 by 10, nothing fancy booth must have resonated with farmers on some level because it was nothing attractive.
Yep.
But, I think having my dad in the booth, farmer to farmer, makes a massive difference.
Huge difference.
And so, I looked like probably 12 years old back then. And so, nobody's going to, I shouldn't say nobody, but I wouldn't trust a kid.
Right.
Right. And so, but having my dad there was that anchor.
So you would have been 28 at the time, 27?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, we go there and we sold, I think we sold almost all of them at Farm Progress.
Wow.
We had commitments for, 20 some at that show, like more than we could keep up with.
So how many of the people from crop production did you see again at Farm Progress?
There was a handful. But not the majority of what bought.
Okay.
Yeah, it was new people that had come by and bought. And so
kind of your hometown though too, right? Because
it's our hometown, but honestly, Jeremy, we sold up into Fairview at Farm Progress. Like we sold a long way, like Western Canada from, the belt, Southern Manitoba and Northern BC, like Fairview not being there, but like we sold all the way through. So
wow, that's what Farm Progress used to be. It used to draw from, it was
it was
massive.
amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing. So we didn't have everything.
2013?
That's 2012.
2012.
So we didn't have everything ready though to ship. I was selling what we knew we could build. But I also hadn't built it yet.
Oh, yeah.
And so what I said to everybody was, I'm not going to take any money from you until I ship you something. So just give me a commitment. I think maybe I don't even know that I took deposits. I feel like I probably should have. I didn't. I don't think.
Even if it's 5% or 10%.
Yeah. Or even, $100, whatever. Give me something. But I don't think I did. And so then I'm like, we're building these and we're going to just keep in touch. And when I can ship them out to you, I'll get in contact with you and we'll get cables out and we'll get them in the bins before harvest.
So were you installing at that point? Or
So I was installing, yeah.
Yeah.
I did all the installs for these ones.
For the first year.
Yeah. And so time is
Why was
ticking.
that important to you?
It was important to them.
It was important to the farmer,
Yes.
so that made it important to you.
So when they came into the booth, they're like, well, who installs it? I'm like, well, you could do it if you wanted to, or what, I would be able to. And they were like, well, if you can do it, you're doing it. I was like, okay, I'll
Did
do
you
it.
charge for install?
No.
No. Buy the system, I'll come install for free.
I'll come install for free.
From Fairview to southern Manitoba, I don't care where it was.
Didn't matter. Yeah. If they were going to install themselves, I would ship it to them.
Yeah.
And then they would pay for shipping, whatever. But yeah, so I went and installed, I don't think I installed all of them, but I installed the vast majority of them.
Wow.
So then,
I mean, I don't think people can even understand what that would have been like.
it was
How many bins was that? 30 systems, how many bins?
probably 300.
I was just going to say 10 bins per
Yeah.
farm, yeah.
Yeah. So then we're trying to get the stuff ready before harvest and things are not going well. We're having all these bugs are showing up and problem after problem after problem after problem. But, you can't wait till it's ready to sell it.
Yep.
So we got all these commitments and the phone's ringing like, we're going to start harvesting. We're going to start harvesting. So I'm working till like 3 a.m. every night trying to get just the cables ready to take the cables out. So I get the cables. I'm shipping what I'm shipping. I'm driving where I'm going. I'm installing those. They're still working on the electronics. So like grain was going in the bins with the cables in the bins before we had the electronics ready. And then we went out and did the electronics afterwards. And then we installed electronics. And out of the like 30-ish yards, I think it didn't work in 25 of them.
Wow.
And
So 5% worked
Yeah.
perfectly,
yeah,
and 95% did not.
yeah.
Is that
then-
the second time you wanted to quit?
Yeah. Yeah, it was the second time I wanted to quit. So then what I would do, Jeremy, I get up at like 5 or 6. I'd get to the office at 5 or 6 in the morning. So this is all transmitting through IoT. There's actually, I don't know how much you want to go into here, but like sourcing modems for IoT at a time when IoT didn't exist was a wild adventure. I was sending money in advance to China in hopes that I would get modems to my
Right.
facility. I
And
found
China
a
was a
supplier.
lot different
It was
back
different,
then. Yeah.
So we had-
Quality issues like crazy.
Yeah, well, so the first ones we bought were really, really good, and so we tested them to -40, and they worked really well. And so
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you didn't have that experience early.
we didn't have that early on. I was shipping money anyway. Is all this pay in advance,
Yeah.
right? And so you do small order,
Yeah.
see if you get it, a little bigger, a little bigger, a little bigger as time went on, and all of a sudden you're sending hundreds of thousands of dollars before they send you anything, and it's really nerve-wracking. So anyway, also we were the first, to my knowledge, we were the first IoT company in the province of Saskatchewan, period. So SaskTel really helped us out with that. And if not the first, like we were in their first group of,
Yeah.
of companies. So that was amazing
Hard.
on their behalf and hard. Yeah. Cause it
Yeah.
was new.
Yeah.
But they helped us out a lot. And so then we ship them out. They don't work. So what I'm doing is I'm going to the office super early, getting up, and I was checking their bins before they were getting up, and
Remotely.
checking them remotely because it's all IoT. So it's
Yeah.
all coming to our database.
Yep.
So I'm checking bins and I'm waiting until I know they wake up. So if I know they wake up at 7, I'm phoning them at 7 in the morning and saying, hey, good morning. Hope everything's good. Like I knew some of my customers' kids' sports schedules because I was talking to them so often.
Wow.
And so I would be like, I see that bin 5 and bin 7 are down today. Don't worry about that. We're coming up there on Friday. We'll take care of that. But I was just trying to be as proactive as I could.
That is incredible customer service. How big of a team at that point?
3.
You, your dad?
No, I don't even count my dad in that. It was me and 2 engineers.
That-
So I was doing all
So
of it.
you were doing all of that.
Yeah. And the ordering and like everything. You had to do
Yeah.
everything. And then I'm driving out with my engineers or without my engineers and we're going to the yards. There was a trip we made.
And this would have been December, January, November, December, January.
Yeah. So probably January or February, I drove to Two Hills, Alberta, to fix up some problems. I came back. It didn't work. My dad drove up there, tried to fix them. Didn't work. He came back about a week later. I went back. I think I drove home or almost all the way home and turned around and went back the same day to fix some things. insane.
Yeah.
And honestly, there were many days where I'm like, we'll never figure this stuff out. But you know what? We figured everything out. There wasn't a single problem that we didn't figure out why it was happening or what we could do to resolve it. Now, once you get to a certain mass, it's not as easy to keep tabs on everything. But off the start, like, there was, so I slowly gained a little bit of confidence that, like, well, no matter what comes, it's not the bomb that's going to blow everything up. Although I still had this, like, kind of lived in the fear of, like, maybe there is one around the corner I'm not aware of. Anyway, so we worked through all that.
I think that's probably taking care of customers like that kind of effort early on. I mean, that's what had to...
It had to happen, though, right? Because our product wasn't very good.
Right.
And so it was the only way to provide something that we had got paid for. And so work through it.
Why was that so important to you? Because some people aren't like that. Some people are like, get paid and then doesn't matter.
I can't. I won't sleep at night.
Yeah.
It was hard for me too when you grow and you get distribution in place, and now I don't know all the customers and I don't know where the product's going. It might have been installed incorrectly or it might not be working and customers are upset. That was really, really, really hard for me to let go of.
When did you sign your first dealer?
I think something tells me, so it wasn't that first 2012, it was the end of 2013. I think we started signing on in December of 2013.
All right, back to it. We had a little technical, much like those early years, there's technical difficulty here, but we fixed it.
Yes.
So where we were at, you're driving around all over the place. That must have been incredibly hard as a father too, because you would have been gone a lot, and that would have been your kids would have been like 4 or 5 at that time.
Yeah, they were young.
Yeah.
Gone lots, doing the trade show circuit through Western Canada. And not that that's all year round or anything, but it takes time. You know it. So yes, very much. That was.
So were you at Agritrade in 2013 then? Because you would have been.
I was there in 2013. Yep.
Yeah.
So I had. Prior to that, in 2013, it hit a point where I was like, okay, we're not moving. Like, people are not coming to my website and they're not coming in. And like, we were making some sales at shows, but I was driving yard to yard to sell. And I am not a salesperson. That is not my thing. But I was literally like survival mode. Excuse me. It was survival mode for me. So I was literally driving into a yard, talking to somebody if they were there.
Yeah.
And like, I hate that stuff. To be honest, it's not my thing. But I was like, it's the only way I'm going to survive here is if we can get more sales. And having conversations, and really it was more like I'd go into one yard and they were pretty interested in what I was talking about.
Yeah.
And he would be like, you should go talk to so-and-so. That's just 4 miles up the road and 3 miles, west or whatever. And so I would be, and then they would be like, yeah, you should go talk to this person. And so they would have let them know I was coming, I'm sure. And so we moved a few more. Then I got a sales guy that came on as a retailer, and he moved some product. And then distribution started coming on.
Who was your first dealer? That's where we kind of had our technical difficulty.
So there were two. We had two come on at the same time. We had Walgrain and Clues Management come on from a distribution.
Yeah,
I had a guy by the name prior to that, the retail side of things. Eric Fazakis came on before that and was moving a ton of product. And so that was kind of that first.
Walgrain and Clues Management were
they were the first distributors. The first, they'll buy inventory and stock it and sell it. Yeah.
Wow. And I know Kevin well.
You know Kevin well.
Yes. That's and I knew he was early. I didn't know he was right at the beginning.
So I think Kevin would tell you, I won't try not to tell tales out of turn here, but that year at Agritrade, we went into Agritrade and we were selling systems at Agritrade and we were moving stuff. And we had done this thing where we had these boxes that were all branded up with bin sense, and they had a master unit in it for that main bin. And people, they could do nothing with that without everything else, but we were sending them with those from the show to get them to walk around with them.
Yeah, that's
and
smart.
So I think Kevin
was that Kevin's idea or your idea?
No, he wasn't on yet. He was not a distributor, and so
okay.
I had another sales guy that was on. It was his idea, and so anyway, so we're moving these things, and they're walking around the show with it, and I think somebody returned a unit to Kevin with our system in hand, and it was like, son of a gun, right? So anyway, I had some conversations with Kevin. I had talked to his
He
dad.
wasn't even in ag at that point, was he?
Oh, yeah. Well, they were very much in it. Yeah, they were selling a competing product of ours and very much. And I had talked to his dad, Wayne, at that first Farm Progress show. Funny story, Wayne had like a hearing aid thing hanging around his neck at the time, and I thought it was a voice recorder. So I was like, this guy is recording our entire conversation. I got to be very careful what I say. It was not. It was so you can hear me better. But
one of the nicest, him and
Genuine.
Wendy, like, phenomenal. And Kevin and Jackie, too, like, yeah.
So we're selling, and they're starting to be like, wow, okay, this is eating at our customer base. And so Walgrain had come and met with me. Kevin, Jackie, Wayne, I'm pretty sure they all flew over here right after the show that year.
To
Agritechnica. And I think they were trying to scout what options they had for just, they're a marketing business. They're trying to bring on lines, those kinds of things. And Kevin phoned me from the show, from this show, and said, hey, we're going to be back on this day. I need to come see you. And I was like, okay, sounds good. Come on. So when they came back, they came and saw me. We had conversation, and then they gave me an offer that day. I won't give the details of the offer, but they gave me an offer for like a PO. And I'm not a knee-jerk reaction guy. I'm a think about it guy. And so I said to him, that sounds great. Appreciate that offer, but let's think about it and let's talk next week. And
that would have driven Kevin crazy.
I think it did a little bit.
Yeah, for sure it would have.
But it wasn't, that wasn't the intention I had.
No.
My intention was just like, okay, this is a great offer from my perspective, but I have to make sure. So we waited, and then...
you done a Colby?
Yes, I have.
You're not a quick start then.
So I'm actually the same across the board.
5.555?
I think I might be a 5.465.
Okay. My other son's a 5.555, which is super rare.
Very rare.
I've never met anyone like that. I'm a 6.393.
Right.
Which is dangerous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
So we go, they come see me, they make this offer. I say, let's just think about it. Crop production's coming again right away, or shortly after they came see. So we plan to meet in person, have a supper or something at crop production. I think stress related, but I ended up with a pinched nerve in my neck and I couldn't get off my couch. So this is kind of an interesting story. So my dad goes up there.
Would this have been 2014?
14, I think.
Yeah.
My old man goes up there, and he's out for supper with them. And, him and I are texting and phoning and whatever. And he's like telling them he has to go use the washroom. And then he's phoning me from the hallway of the washroom. He's like, okay, Kyle, this is what they're saying. And what do you think? Do you want to do this deal? What do you want? Discounts, volume, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, I'd go for this. So I'd accept that. So then he goes back to the table. Then he comes back again. He tells me he has to pee again, phones me. And then we're on the phone and he's like, Kevin's coming. I got to go.
Does Kevin know this?
I've told him this.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but he didn't know it at the time. So anyway, so we cut the deal with them. We cut the deal with Walgrain.
How many did they buy?
I don't remember the exact number. I remember the dollar number, but I'm not going to share it. But it was good.
Yeah.
It was a good amount.
Were you confident you had the bugs figured out? Because
oh God, no, not even close.
And you tweeted on that?
No, I think we were like,
we'll take care of it.
Pushing it pretty hard. Because we needed to move product, right? And we didn't have it all figured out by no means. And so the guts are rolling again, right? So anyway, that set things not. Getting the retailer on, Eric on prior to that really started things in motion. And then that just put a little more, put the volume on it.
Yep.
And then things are moving. And so I sold my electrical business in 2014.
Okay.
I walked away from that, sold that. Sold it for assets, like nothing crazy.
Basically gave somebody an opportunity and you didn't want to be in that anyways.
No. So walked away from that.
So you were basically, if I'm doing the math right, you were basically 6 years in a career that you didn't want to be in while you were doing this, like 2008 to 14, and then you were able to finally do what you'd always wanted to do, which was get out of being an electrician, and now you're fully focused on this.
Now I'm fully focused on this, and so keep pushing on this and keep developing and improving and expanding, and we brought in a full plastic extrusion line, sourced the plastic extrusion line to do the cable side of things, and figured out how to make that work. Brought in some expert from the US to train me and my staff, and just, anything we needed to do. Manufacturing, speeding things up. I love that part of it. I love getting in the shop and figuring out, like, how can we do this faster and better? And, one stripping these plastic cables, had aircraft cables in them, and stripping them. We were using the Olfenize. Well, that's dangerous as hell, right? And so I was worried somebody was going to hack their thumb off. So I literally went to Canadian Tire and stood in the tools aisle for about a half an hour and saw the wood planers.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can bolt those sideways on a bench with the fixed blade on it, and you can just drag these against them, and it worked. Like, they use it today still.
Wow.
Just, there was tons of that stuff, and I really loved that manufacturing side of things and figuring those problems out. Still do.
So this is growing now. Now it's taken off. You've got distributors on. When did you first get approached about selling it?
Well, there's always some people that come knocking a little bit, like when it's successful and it's going well, that you get some door knockers, and that'll come and make you some offers, but they're never real offers. They're more of like feel them out stuff. And so that started happening probably 2016-ish.
Okay. So you're rolling now.
So we were rolling pretty good, yeah. Keep in mind, so I had raised that initial $400K from friends and family. I needed to get another, before things started rolling, I got another $400K. So we raised $800,000 total.
From the same group?
The same group. $800,000 total from friends and family to build a hardware, software, full-on manufacturing company. That's insane. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
Yeah.
So now we're rolling, and I'm doing the shareholder updates every year and trying to keep that side of, this is still all really new to me.
Yep.
But running a way tighter ship than I ever ran on the electrical side of things.
How did you, I'm just curious, this is, when you went to those friends and family, what was your payback plan? Like, what was your pitch?
Yeah, it's hard. My payback plan, I mean, obviously I gave up equity for them and put a valuation on the company, and, told them that, here's what I think this could become. And, to be honest, I have no idea. So don't invest if you're not willing to lose a ton of capital.
Right.
So whatever you put in, if you're willing to not ever see that again in your life, put that in. If there's a penny more, don't do it.
Interesting.
And so they did, yeah. And so that's, thankfully, at the end of the day, I could pay. They all got a paycheck, right? And so that's great. Doesn't always work out that way. More often,
I mean, I've been through it a little bit now with the new product and trying to raise capital and figuring out what that payback needs to be, and it's just interesting to see how that transpires. And you're right, there's a lot of people that have invested into things that have been burned hardcore.
We did dividends one year for the shareholders to kind of get them, some try to get them their money back, not some of the shareholders, some of their money, but like all the shareholders. That was the other thing. When I set up my shareholder stuff, I was very like, what happens for me as a shareholder happens for everybody as a shareholder. I was very even with all that was important to me. So, yeah, things go well, and then, we're just growing and selling more and, improving the product and making some changes to the product that don't work so well, and then fix, the same.
Where were you at compared to your competition? And I'm assuming your competition was Opie. Is that who it was?
They were one of them, yeah, for sure. They were the predominant player.
They were there. That was who had the big fancy booth you were talking about before?
They always had big fancy booths. There was another company that had one, and they're not around anymore. They never survived.
But that was probably the big competition at the time.
Oh, yeah. Like, they had been around for, I think, almost 30 years at that point.
By that point, yeah.
Yeah. So
you're the new kids on the block.
We were the new kids on the block, yeah. So I didn't, It was, anyway, there's lots of nuance within it, but so then we're selling, we're moving, things are going really well. And now it's just, when it gets good like that, it's more of a marketing game. And there's all kinds of that side of I wouldn't say that's my expertise. I'm not really like super well-versed in all that side of the game.
What's your unique ability?
It's the solving problems on product and in manufacturing. I can do those. I can get a product to work, to solve a need. I can help solve problems, and then I can get the manufacturing working really well. Now, this time around with Ground Truth, I have hired staff that are also very, very good at that. We're way better capitalized this time, so it's not me having to do it.
Well, because you learned from doing this once, to do it a second time. Yeah. And I want to get to Ground Truth. I can't believe we're we're an hour in, and we're not even to where you've sold Vincent's yet, and have moved to the next project. This is. Have you done this before?
No, I've not gone into this depth.
No, you've never. This is crazy, man. So let's move, not quickly, but because you sold in 2019, 2020. When
2018 we actually sold, and then I had to stay on for 2 years till 2020.
Okay, so you sold in 2018.
Yeah.
What was that process like, and what was because a lot of people wouldn't sell.
Yeah, it's not that I definitely wasn't like, I'm done with this, but I like that early stuff, right? Like I like the solving the problem. I like getting the product to work. I like getting it to fit the customer need. I like, the manufacturing and the scaling of manufacturing. Like, I don't know why, Jeremy, but I love it when it's like, oh shit, how are we going to survive this? And then I figure it out.
Yeah.
And so once that was no longer the game, I also got caught in, because I did everything myself, I was caught in this situation where I couldn't get out of that. I couldn't get out of doing everything myself. So I was doing all of the support still. I had staff and they were wonderful and amazing and talented, but everybody still would come to Kyle for everything. And that's okay. That was my own doing. I needed to break that cycle.
Yeah.
And so
you felt like not hiring somebody to be your operations, but selling was the way to go to break that cycle, take a breath, and then figure out.
So then the opportunity came to sell. So somebody came to us and was like, would you be interested? And I said, yeah, I'd explore that. And also too, there's nothing, I took risk off the table by selling, right? Like we had risked everything by starting this company. And I looked at it like, if I can get something out of this, like that is like signed, sealed, and delivered, why wouldn't I?
Right.
And so we did. Ultimately, we did. And
what was that negotiation like?
Not as dramatic as you would think.
Really?
Like, it was like...
Did you have a number in your head, like, this is what I'd sell for? And you said that, and they're like, sure. And you're like, fuck.
Well, I think the best negotiations are when neither party's very happy.
Right.
So I think it's not to say that I wasn't happy. I was happy. But...
You could have been happier?
Well, always.
Right.
But it wasn't bad. It was a good offer for me. And, so they offered, I countered, and we met in the middle. Kind of like, you're talking, it's not anything, this one for me wasn't anything more than that, really.
Right. But then you had to stay on for 2 years.
And I had to stay on for 2 years, yep. So I stayed on for 2 years, and then really that's the handoff period.
Right.
And
I'm sure there was a non-compete in there.
Yeah. Non-solicit, for sure. So did that for the 2, and then...
Who'd you sell to?
Callion Group out of Ottawa.
Yep.
And so they were actually, the reason we got to know them was they owned SED systems in Saskatoon that had a SMT circuit board line. So they were our manufacturers of our circuit board.
Oh, so they came to you, they saw...
Oh, they had known our volumes were increasing all the time.
Year they're like, we want a part of that.
Yeah, and then this is also a good message, I think, for everybody like starting out. You maybe think that sometimes your vendors, you can push them out to 90 days or 120. We never did. We always paid bills like within 30, and that's not possible all the time.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is we treated our vendors very, very well, and look what happened.
Yeah.
A vendor of ours acquired us.
Yeah.
Which is a crazy thing to think about.
100%. I don't think that happens. I think that's another rare thing.
Yes.
And whoever was running them clearly had some strategic thinking there. Like, this is the future for us.
Yes.
And now Ben's there, yeah. Ben's there, right? Running Callion.
He is, running the Callion Agriculture,
yeah,
for sure. So 2020 hits. November is the 2-year date mark. I'll tell you, it was actually a wild ride up to November of 2018 because that was their board had to approve the purchase.
Yeah.
So I was like thinking we were acquired, but only couldn't tell anybody right up until their board meeting. And then their board meeting happens, and then it's either yes or no.
At the board level. So you had a deal in place. The board could have said, we're out.
Yeah. I mean, they do as much as they can.
Rolling.
Oh, God, yeah. They do as much as they can at that point, though, to not make it be a surprise, right? They know most part going in what the vote's going to be, but
you never know.
You never know.
Right.
So anyway, so that comes in, yes. I'm ready. I had lined up meetings with every one of my staff back to back to back. Like they
To let them know, because you couldn't tell anyone. Dad probably knew.
Yeah.
Wife knew.
Shareholders knew. Yeah.
Shareholders
So 12 o'clock was their board meeting. They were going to phone me and let me know. I had lined up meetings with all my staff back to back, 20-minute meetings from 12 until like 5 or 6 that night. And none of my staff knew what we were meeting about. So they all thought worst case scenario.
You're firing them all. Right.
So that was a, misread on or misplan on my side. Anyway, all went well and talked to them all, brought them all in for one big meeting, talked to them about the situation that was occurring. It was exciting, but also sad and all that stuff, all the emotions. But then, so 2 years goes by, I walk away, and then COVID is happening when I walked away, right? Like, so it was kind of I don't know if a lot of people say this, but for me, it was really cool. My kids were 15 and 12.
Yeah.
And I had worked so much. Now, I will say all the time, Jeremy, I help coach all their sports activities. And my wife
While I was doing
all that. So we've been running 2 companies and doing that. Yep. I helped coach. I never head coach, but I always would assistant coach where I could. And I remember saying to Pam, my wife, one time, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And she's like, you're doing it. Because if you don't do that, you'll just be at work and then you'll miss. I'm like, great point.
Yeah.
And so I had, if I'm on the ice, I got to put my phone away. Yeah. Sometimes I was still on my phone, but anyway.
I'll run that drill over in the corner. Yeah. It's going to be a checking drill.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So then 2020 COVID hits and the kids are at home, wife's at home, we're all stuck at home. And for me, that was really good. I mean, really good.
Because now, no company to run, none of that stuff. You just get to be focused with
I'm just present with them every single day. And it was like complete 180.
That's so awesome.
So
another really, COVID was really fortunate. The whole thing, just the timing.
So I was out before COVID. Yeah. So I talked to people who have startups that they started right before COVID and went through that. I never went through it.
You also missed the ag boom that happened.
And I missed the ag boom.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So anyway, really crazy. So enjoyed it. I really enjoyed my time. And then as time went on, I knew I wanted to do something else.
You weren't done.
I wasn't done. So then I went and worked for a company, and I was there for 2 months. They treated me really, really well, and I just couldn't do it. And I'm like, I got to do another startup. And I said to Pam, I'm like, I think I got to do another startup. And she said, I think you do too. So I was like, okay.
Well, you must have the most amazing wife.
Oh yeah, she's amazing. So she really 100% has supported me from start to finish. So then back to the drawing board, trying to come up, what would I do? Agriculture. I decided on an ag, decided on the grain quality aspect, that ground truth with automating grain grading, and really got there. It's, it's part of the grain monitoring aspect of, you put that grain in the bin, you then are monitoring it for temperature and moisture so it doesn't deplete the value. Well, why can't we do something with that to increase the value in some way? Or, right now it's like flat or worse.
Right. So you put it in the bin, and whatever you put it in at,
that's the best thing you're getting is what it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So whereas I was like, if we could understand the quality aspect of everything we have, I'm sure there's an optimization that we can do with our grain.
So how can you optimize grain?
So if you knew, so at the farm level, you don't know what you have from a quality perspective.
So really, true. The elevator.
So you deliver it.
Yeah.
I mean, you send in your samples and they grade it, but it changes. When you go in, it's
elevator's
a different
always taking something. Yeah.
So this is the sentiment. I had that same sentiment.
100%.
So if you knew what you had, and let's say you knew that you, in that 30,000 bushel bin there, your overall average is a number 2, and in your other 30,000, it's a number 1, but you knew what was causing that to be a 2, if you blended it over here, you could have 60,000 of a 1. There's a lot of that happens when you sell it.
Right.
They blend it all.
Yep.
So in my head, I was like,
why don't you blend it at the farm?
Well, so the blend at the farm was my initial idea, but honestly, it doesn't even have to, you can do paper blends too, right? Like if everybody knows what there is and they know what's coming to them, because from a grain buyer perspective, if they know what they're going to take custody of, it's way easier for them to do some pre-planning and pay based on that also. No, I'm not saying I'm not going to tell them what they can and can't do, but.
So you're basically saying to the buyer, look, I will give you a system. You can have this all figured out ahead of time so that when they bring it in, it's done.
Essentially, that is a future state, yes.
Yeah.
So if you think about if the farmers know exactly what they have for quality in every bin. They know the high, they know the low, they know the average in that bin.
Yep.
100%. Now the marketing game can change, right? Where they can say to their buyers, they can share that information if they choose. This is a big thing, Jeremy. I am not about sharing people's data for them.
Right.
It's up to the farmer if they want to share their own information or not. That's very, very important. But if they wanted to share that information, they could. And so now the buyers would know holistically like what they have coming towards.
So when did you start Ground Truth?
Officially incorporated it end of 2021 and didn't get going until the beginning of 22.
So you're 3 years in now.
3 years in.
What's the uptake been?
It's been great. So I wanted to build something that was for the entire supply chain. I want grain quality in the same way for the entire supply chain. That was always when I assessed what existed and why this wasn't mainstreamed, it was because there's too much discrepancy at every phase of where this grain gets graded or looked at. And so there was a couple things we had to do. You have to do it in bulk grain, in my opinion, because then you can do it on the combine, you can do it you pour in a full sample, you could do it at an auger, you could do it wherever. And you have to do it comprehensively. You got to get all of the characteristics, or at least like the vast majority, so that you can give enough information to transact on. If I'm only giving you 5 things,
right,
there's another 55 that you don't know of. That
so you're not even. I mean,
right.
You're on the way there, but you're not there to where you want to go. Yeah.
So those were anyway. So then I was like, we should put this on the farm. We should put it on a combine. Then we can get GPS located, like information of grade. So now you spray for fusarium, it still shows up. Where was it showing up? All that. Great. Went to talk to the grain buyers with the same perspective you said.
Yeah.
How much they like to take, they'll de-risk as much as they can. Their business.
Yeah.
They should. I thought we were getting taken advantage of on the farm. When I started talking to the grain buyers, it was not at all what I thought it was. They were like, Kyle, if you build this, we want it. Because it takes us 8 years to train graders because of environmental conditions that don't show up. Graders are only expected to be 70 to 80% accurate. So 20 to 30% margin of error at every point in that.
Either way, they're not saying that it's always in their favor. They're
100%.
saying we have buyers that screw up or graders that screw up, and the farmer gets paid way more than they should too. So we need to be sure.
Yes, 100%. So they were like, if you make this be something that is consistent, transparent, we are all
want it.
Yeah. So I switched gears a little bit of like, I still want this for the farm, but the way we get it for the farm is get all the grain buyers using it, because now the farm can have access to the exact same thing that they're using.
So you're targeting grain buyers now.
So we went grain buyer first.
At all.
We have some farmers that have systems, and we will still move towards that. We've been testing on combine for the last 3-4 years, but our primary focus, let's get all the grain buyers using it. Let's get the regulatory bodies on board with this, because then now farmers have the ability to have the exact same thing that everyone.
Are they too expensive for the farmer?
So was the moisture tester too expensive for a farmer in the 90s? Yes.
Yeah, right.
What about now?
No, 100%.
100% not. So we're at early days of this, but the value that you can get out of this and understanding your grain in the market, 100%.
Yeah. And especially because a lot of guys are marketing their own grain now.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And they know what it's worth, and and if they can prove it using this, completely changes things.
Very much so.
We have killed the batteries of not the phone, but for sure the laptop's going to go down. The studio's going to crash. This is one of the longest podcasts that I've recorded.
Sorry.
No.
Sorry.
I love this. I think people are going to... this is fascinating to me. So, oh man, we're going to go until it shuts off, and then hopefully it keeps going. There's always a couple questions I ask people, but before I get to those questions, what's the future hold for you? Like, are you building this to sell this, to start something else? What, like, you're 41, man, you're young. Like,
yeah. I don't know what the future holds for this. I'm not going to say I would never sell it.
Right.
We have investors.
Yep.
And investors have needs. Now, the only way that those investors get what they need out of it is either we buy them out as a company, I buy them out, or they get bought out as a whole. So those, they need to be made right, and I'll make sure that happens. I'll do everything I can to make that happen. What format that takes, I don't know.
So do you still have the guts rolling?
Always. My guts are rolling coming to this show.
Yeah.
Like, always. It never fails.
Oh, man. That's awesome. Okay, what would 41-year-old Kyle tell 21-year-old Kyle? Your kids have got to be close to 20, 21. So
Yeah.
basically, what life advice would you give yourself now that you've had 20 years? What life advice would you give yourself?
Yeah, probably. So I started realizing this partway through the first company days that it's this ridiculous adage, but like nothing is impossible. But what is very, very difficult is sticking with something long enough to make it possible.
Right.
If you stick with something long enough and try hard enough and have the runway, now sometimes you're going to run out of capital, there's things out of your control, but if you have enough to continue with it and you are just willing to not give up, you can. And that is that just like the grit. There's a book Angela Duckworth wrote about grit, and it is true. If, you can't always give it 100% every day, but even if you're still giving 30, she talks about that. That is 100% true. If you're willing to not give up over the long run,
Yeah. You'll make it.
you will make it. You can fix
Nothing's
it. You can make it work.
impossible.
Nothing's.
Well, it gave me goosebumps, man. That's I think every entrepreneur, well, every kid, everybody needs to hear that. That's
But it's not about intensity, it's about longevity, right?
Right.
The intensity problem is where people get lost in like, the grind of an entrepreneur, like I'm gonna grind for 12 to 14 hours every day. That's great. And if you can sustain that, more power to you. But if you can just give it something forever, and I'm just repeating the words of others. These are not mine, but I lived it.
that's really good.